So, folks, this is the upper tier. This is your pro wrestling weekly show that we bring you every Wednesday. Plenty to talk about this week. Edge rocks up, or should I say, the rated R superstar Adam Copeland rocks up on AEW. We're going to be talking about Jade Cargill. We'll have a little bit of chat about Fastlane. Going to be talking about the Miz. Going to be talking about DIY reforming on Raw. We're going to be talking about, of course, NXT. Loading NXT up for next Tuesday against Titles Tuesday against AEW. That's who's in the comments. Let's see. Sean, how are you? Thrilled for Edge, but now WWE are going to pretend he never existed. I don't think they'll do that with Edge. I'd be surprised if they did. At least we got to keep Alter Bridge. Yeah, absolutely. Daz, how are you, my friend? How's things? Let me know, folks, as well if the audio's all right. I know we had a couple of problems last night on the Angle show with the audio. Hopefully it's all right tonight. I don't know what happened last night. It just went a bit crazy. So, but let me know if there's any issues with the audio. Because I don't know what's going on. Must be gremlins in the system because I've literally changed nothing. But yeah, let's get into the show then. Let's have a bit of crack, and we'll start across with. There's nowhere else to start, is there? But Edge rocking up at AEW. Um, the scrum afterwards was kind of cool. It was weird to see Tony Khan. Good man, guys. Appreciate that. It was weird to see Tony Khan like a child with Edge beside him and stuff like that. Was gas to see it and stuff like that. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of this Edge going to AEW? I've been talking to a number of wrestling fans on Twitter and stuff like that. We've been out on spaces and stuff like that, and there's been quite a varied response to him from people wishing him well and hope he does well, and from people turning around and going, "There's no way I'm going to watch Edge in AEW." So quite a varied kind of reaction to it and stuff like that. Safe to say, when he came out of Wrestle Dream, he got a great reaction to end the show and stuff like that. And if you looked at the media scrum afterwards, he's very excited at the prospect of wrestling the likes of Samoa Joe and sharing the ring with Sting and all this kind of thing. And I'm kind of thinking with that neck injury that I had and how close he was to paralysis and stuff like that. I don't know whether I'd be in a hurry to getting into a ring with Samoa Joe and John Moxley and guys like this who go at it proper hard style. So let me know your thoughts anyway. But it was interesting to hear from him. The one thing that was interesting as well, I suppose, during the week as well, quite a dynamic on it as well, is the fact that, like, when you listen to what the narrative was in WWE at the time, he was talking about winding down and his career gradually coming to an end and various different things like that. And then when you hear that he's gone into AEW, it's a full time contract. This week he's going to be on Dynamite. He's going to be on Collision. He's going to be on Titles Tuesday. I think he has a match with Luchasaurus and all. So, like, this is a full time contract. So let us know your thoughts on that as well. Um, yeah, well, he kind of turned on him a bit the other night, didn't he? At the end of Wrestle Dream and stuff like that. And Christian, of course, was brilliant in the media scrums. He always is as well. Like, I don't have any friends and all this. I think one of the girls there, one of the journalists asked him, "What do you think of your friend Adam Copeland here being in AEW?" He turned around and goes, "I don't have any friends." It was kind of weird, wasn't it? Asos is in. How are you, my friend? Edge versus Christian at Full Gear for TNT Championship. Yeah, that'd be interesting, stuff like that. And it was interesting. We have quotes as well from Edge there that we'll come to in a minute. But really let us know your thoughts on this. I suppose when you look at the WWE situation, and they were negotiating a contract, there's not a whole lot left for him to do there in WWE, is there? I mean, he's basically faced everyone. The kind of ending to the Judgment Day was kind of abrupt, to say the least. Um, some people are saying like the comeback was monumental, but people are starting saying some people were saying there during the week that some of his best work since he came back has been when he had teamed with Beth Phoenix and stuff like that, his wife. So it's interesting to get people's thoughts on and how they felt about Edge back in WWE and stuff like that. Some of the matches, just like the Balor match for me, wasn't a great match at all for considering the two the two wrestlers making up the match. I thought the match kind of didn't deliver really. But let us know your thoughts on that. And who would you like to see him face in AEW? What are the matches you're most looking forward to? Who do you think you'll be facing, and who would you get excited about announcing? Edge versus Christian, yeah, kind of the nostalgia effects and stuff like that. That's a good question, Daz. Will Beth join him in AEW? He was asked that in the media scrum, and he was said, yeah, if the opportunity came about, it'd be absolutely brilliant. Because she really is. He mentioned that like she's really a great sounding board for him for ideas and stuff like that. And all. They have a great relationship. And look, I had the benefit of meeting both of them in the shop. They both came into the shop one evening, nothing planned, just dropped in to say hello. I got to spend about 40 minutes talking to him. It was a late night Thursday and it was soaking wet outside. And they had promised a friend of mine that if they were in Dublin City, they'd drop in to see the shop. And it was a great chat actually, because there wasn't much chat about wrestling. Actually, we were talking about family life and that kind of work family life balance and all that kind of thing. I was talking to Beth about family life and how did she balance family life, with both of them being on the road at times and all that kind of stuff. And it was a great chat. Both Hall of Famers, they were absolutely brilliant to talk to, very down to earth people. He's an absolute gent. And he was a gem that day as well. You know what I mean? We were talking about Vikings and his move from wrestling into the acting and all that kind of stuff, and how he found that transition and all. So it was a real great chat on the night and stuff like that. Real personable. Hillary was always a big fan. My wife, she was always a big fan of Edges and stuff like that. And he actually FaceTimed her, and she lost her shit that night. And it was kind of a bit awkward as well, because I was sitting in the shop talking to his wife, Beth Phoenix, and he was FaceTiming my wife to make her night kind of thing. So it was kind of a fun thing. Luchasaurus versus Edge is booked for next week, AEW, yeah, NXT on Tuesday. Yeah, that title's Tuesday, isn't it? It's Tony Khan's birthday as well. But we have to talk about that kind of separately now. And as you said, Acers versus NXT, they have stacked NXT for next Tuesday. Good Lord. Good luck to Raw next week, being trying to be the best show on WWE programming next week. They have absolutely stacked it out. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on Edge. What do you think? How do you feel about him going in there? Some people kind of felt a little bit let down. Some people felt okay about it, that he's going off to do new things and all that kind of stuff. But certainly it was very interesting. And it's weird sometimes, because the media scrums sometimes for AEW are nearly more fun than the pay-per-views. But let us know your thoughts. Oh yeah, I have a quote there first of all before we get into this. Edgy said he was asked about when did his contract end, his WWE contract end. He said it wasn't until my contract was up on the September the 21st. It wasn't until then, so it was really really quick to get everything done and get everything dialed in, figuring out so many things like getting the altar bridge and getting the music and doing all those things. There were 9 or 10 days. I didn't know immediately, but I thought that's where I wanted to go. I really thought that working with Jay again, Christian, of course, was what I wanted to do and how I pictured it in a perfect world. Beth said, "What's your perfect world?" I was like, "My perfect world is that I end my career with Jay." So suddenly that perfect world looked like it could be there. It's tough to pass that up. Absolutely. Now I'm sure Tony Khan has remunerated him very handsomely as well as part of that. So we'll see what happens. Daz is in. I would like to see him maybe versus MJF. Yeah, that'd be kind of very cool. Edge knew that he wouldn't be winning either World Heavyweight Championships or Undisputed Championships, so he jumped to AEW for a final hurrah and take CM Punk's spot. Yeah, interesting, and I think he'll probably take that spot a lot better, because I think with Edge, um, I think he will impart a lot of advice to some of those younger guys over there, but I don't think it will be as forceful as people think, the way like Punk kind of does it. He gives you kind of advice and you take the advice on board, but he expects you to react to it. Whereas Edge will give you the advice and sort of say, look, take it for what it is. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. He's not going to get all hurt or offended or anything like that. He's not that type of guy. So yeah, so it should be pretty cool having a guy like Edge in there. And look, he was grinning like a Cheshire cat at the media scrum. Very, very happy to be in there. So yeah, we're happy for him and we wish him well. And of course, we will tune in and watch how the tail end of his career unfolds. It's going to be very interesting. Shawn Michaels was talking, claims WWE NXT is the closest you will get to WWE's Attitude Era. Let us know your thoughts in the chat there, folks. What do you think of that? Will is in. Big up, my friend. How are you? No less William Foy, eh? William Foy. I like that. He owed WWE nothing, to be fair now. He will always go back to WWE one day anyway. Being in AEW is just like having a fling. I love it. Yeah, that's very much. Yeah, that's a That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, going to AEW is like having a fling. Quite a rewarding fling as well. I'm sure he picked up a serious bag on that contract because you can be guaranteed whatever WWE were offering him. I'd say AEW offered him at least double, or he told them that's what it was, you know. Acers, Edge beating MJF for AEW Championship at Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Interesting. Are they still talking about MJF in January going to WWE? Isn't his contract up in January? Or has he extended? I wonder would he make the jump the other way? We've seen Jade Cargill, and of course, Brian Pillman Jr. as well has joined WWE as well, which is very, very interesting move. We're going to talk about it when we get into the history side of things this week. It's going to be a difficult one, folks, because we found one of those weeks this week, which is a tough week to go through, but we'll go through it. What did you make of this guy, The Miz? What's up, Eno? Good to see you, man. What's the crack? All good. But we had The Miz as well. I can lose every match in WWE and it will not matter because I am Teflon. I'm indestructible in WWE. Now that's my mindset. I'm completely indestructible. I will make you believe whatever I want you to believe when I want you to believe it, and I'm good enough to have 5-star matches each and every time. 5-star segments each and every time. You can revolve an entire show around me or give me 1 minute. You better believe you're going to have moments that the fans will have for the rest of their lives. That's where I am at today. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments as well. The Miz coming out hard and big time on it and stuff like that. So let us know. Hard to disagree. He tends to be the go-to guy for new guys coming in and stuff like that. We've seen that little sort of run he had there with LA Knight and stuff like that. WWE testing the waters, putting them out there with Miz, who's electric on the mic and stuff like that, and very good in the ring as well. And now we obviously have to step up a fast lane. We'll see what transpires with the John Cena situation and stuff like that. And we'll have an update on fast lane matches for you a little bit later in the show as well. Bit of crack, you know. Let's talk about Jade Cargill. First of all, we got news that apparently she's going to be rocking up on Fastlane. And we also heard news as well that she could be going to the Raw brand. They might be fast tracking her. Let us know your thoughts on this. Is this a good idea from what you've seen from Jade Cargill so far in AEW? Certainly, she has lit up the internet since signing for WWE. My Twitter feed is just full of Jade Cargill updates and stuff like that, and who she's calling out and stuff like that. Who do you want to see her face as well? A lot of talk about who she might face. I suppose going to the Raw brand might put a decision on it and stuff like that. But certainly who are you looking at there? Rhea Ripley obviously would be a good one for Jade Cargill. Nia Jax, Charlotte, you know, and then you've got Bianca Belair and stuff like that. There's been a lot of talk about Bianca Belair and stuff like that and Jade Cargill. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on that. Acers is in. It's only a storyline with the MJF contract, I presume you're saying. Yeah, absolutely interesting. But we could say he seems to have an affection for over there, so you never know what he might do. But let us know your thoughts on Jade Cargill. Is it a good idea fast tracking her potentially into Raw? Talk she's going to rock up on Fastlane this week, but might set the narrative. And if she does get fast tracked, who do you want to see her face? What would be good? I think Becky's going in a different direction. We have an update on Becky and stuff like that. For Halloween Havoc, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show as well. I'm not sure at the moment. She's like Jade. She's a big girl, like you know. So I'm not too sure. Might take a bit of time to develop that chemistry with Becky Lynch and stuff like that. I'd imagine they'll put her in with powerhouses and stuff. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they put Jade into a feud with a male and beat the shit out of him. Can you imagine? Rhea's been pushing for that as well. If you've seen Rhea's interview we had on the show a few weeks ago, she was pushing for matches with Orton and Rey Mysterio and all. Place going absolutely mad. Acers, not looking forward to watching Nia Jax versus Ripley at Crown Jewel. No, not at all. Just hope as long as both girls come out of it healthy, that's the main thing there in that situation. That's the nervousness of it and stuff, isn't it? Let's talk about the man who's been spoken about by everyone at the moment, Mr. L.A. Knight. This is the listing from the biggest merch sellers from September, courtesy of WrestleNomics. LA Knight again, the top seller merchandise wise in the company at the moment. So not only is he performing on the mic and in the ring, he's also performing in the sales of merchandise. John Cena second, Cody Rhodes is third, Stone Cold fourth, and Rhea Ripley fifth. Mad to think this many years on and stuff like that, isn't it? Stone Cold still so way up in the merchandise sales. The 316 shirts, classic stuff, the watch shirts, all those different things and all. It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? So really, really good. But great to see that happening, of course, as well. Celtic won, Lazio nil. Nice little update from Acers on the Champions League. Ian's in. Tony Khan needs to stay away from the white stuff. Looking forward to watching LA Knight versus Paul Heyman on the microphone. Yeah, that's going to be absolutely classic as well, isn't it? That's going to be pretty cool. Let's talk about. We already spoke about Edge. Of course, he's going to be on Dynamite this week and stocked in, and then I think Collision as well, and then he's going to be on Title Tuesday next week for Tony Khan's birthday and stuff like that. Let's talk about this. Cody Rhodes was confirmed for NXT for next week, but they've also confirmed, I think, John Cena, Asuka, and they've also, it looks like Paul Heyman is going to be there in Braun Breaker's corner. What do you make of that? Really rolling out the star power next week to go up against AEW. You know, this AEW that apparently they don't recognize, but like with Edge going to be on Titles Tuesday against Luchasaurus, they are stacking it out there next week. Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Paul Heyman, and Asuka all heading to NXT, which is only brilliant, I think. Sean's in. Amazing how Cena is still so popular with kids and now adults alike. Yeah, I think probably as you grow a little bit older, Sean, don't you? You probably you develop a little bit of a kind of a respect for John Cena that you may not have had back then. I know you're a fan of him and stuff like that and all, but in general, I think but very, very interesting to see how how that situation all runs out. But it's going to be really interesting to see NXT going up against Dynamite or Titles Tuesday next week. Especially with Edge wrestling Luchasaurus as well. That's going to be interesting. They want us to believe it's a way of elevating the younger talent, but they're really doing it to fight AEW. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, elevate younger talents. Interesting. Daz, do we know who Cena's partner will be at Fastlane? Yeah, it's LA Knight. LA Knight, my friend. He signed a contract last week on SmackDown. The handshake. Remember the Mega Powers nearly, the Mega Powers Part 2. Acers. Cody Rhodes is announcing Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Will is in. Newcastle won, PSG nil. Interesting. Big result there for the town tonight if they hold on there in the Champions League. Sean's in. Always had respect for John, but I understand where the hatred came from back in the day too. Yeah, absolutely. You won't get any hatred from me on it. That's for sure. He looked after me well through the shop and stuff like that. What did you make of this? The Judgment Day, Dom going in and winning the belt back literally a week after he had dropped it, or 4 days or 3 days after he dropped it, the trick. How do you feel this all went down? What was your thinking on it and stuff like that? I know he got the ultimatum for Rhea and stuff like that and all, so you kind of felt because he got the ultimatum and stuff like that was obviously going to happen. I don't think they're going to do a Judgment Day turn on NXT television, let's say, so let us know your thoughts on that. It's kind of, I hate when they do this with titles. It's just, you seen it last week when Trick had won it and stuff like that. It was really, really cool and how happy he was and all. And then look what happens then. Less than a week later, he's dropping the belt back and stuff like that. That's kind of, for me, that's all WCW kind of stuff. Not mad about it at all. Let's talk about this. Tommaso Ciampa taking those serious chops off Gunther and then getting hopped on by Imperium. But who runs down to the ring to save him? His old buddy. That man they can't separate from each other. Johnny Gargano comes back and they reform DIY. Plenty of excitement about this as well. And it was Johnny Gargano took to Twitter about it. He says, real talk. And when Johnny Gargano starts a statement with real talk, it is real talk. I had the pleasure of meeting him with Dean Fitz when we were over at WrestleMania. We went and met him at a WrestleCon. He wasn't with the company at the time. And he had plenty of time for us and stuff like that and all. He had entered fatherhood, and himself and Dino, I think, they stood there for about a half an hour sharing stories about fatherhood and all. Dino's a huge fan of Johnny Gargano. Shout out to Dino. We had a great time. I had to nearly pull Dino away, people waiting to see him and stuff like that, but pretty cool. But this is what he said anyway. He took to Twitter: real talk, I saw all your theories and hopes for DIY these past 6 months, from dream matches to just genuinely wanting us back. I know how excited you all are. We are too. Thanks for believing and holding out hope for us. And now that it's finally time, let's freaking kill it. What more would you want? Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Unbelievable. DIY, what a team. I have a couple of DIY shirts there in the wardrobe. I must dig them out. Where are we? I felt the same way everyone felt about Super Cena, about Roman, and learned I was once one of those kids they were applying to. Kids aren't going to have an open mind at that age. No, they're not. Absolutely not, Sean. They should be dethroned. It was so. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Mustafa Ali winning the NXT North American Championship before budget cuts. Yeah, absolutely. DIY versus Imperium next week on Raw. That's going to be cracking. Can't wait for that. I love that chemistry with Gargano and Ciampa. They went off air just as they were about to hit the double super kick. We just can't have nice things, can we? No, we certainly can't. Maybe they didn't want to see. Maybe they didn't want to do that double super kick. Maybe for obvious reasons. Who knows? What else has been going on then? Let's talk Becky Lynch. She's going to be facing the winner of a triple threat match that was announced on NXT. You're looking at Lyra Valkyrie, Roxanne Perez, and Indy Hardwell all answering the call. The triple threat was announced, where the winner will face Becky Lynch, the man for the title, on Halloween Havoc Night 1 on October 24th. So we look forward to that one. Who you thinking's going to go in there? Who's rocking it at the moment? Who's gonna take that spot? That would be very interesting to see. Little bit more there as well. Tony Schiavone was saying that he had no idea that Adam Copeland was at AEW, and he was shocked and stuff like that. Tony Schiavone, he just can't drop kayfabe. Sure, he can't. No matter what he does. We spoke about John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Asuka, Heyman, all heading to NXT next Tuesday. That's going to be class. Little bit of news from Matt Riddle. He took to Instagram announcing that he will be launching his own strain of cannabis known as Riddle OG. He's getting into the cannabis business, Matt Riddle. Should we be shocked? Should we be surprised? I wouldn't have thought so. And then Ted DiBiase was talking. He was being interviewed, and he was talking about how getting out of the in-ring side of the business at the age of 40 and stuff like that. And this is what he had to say. Take Sean's comments first. Don't know what else I expected from Riddle, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we would have got any odds in a betting office about Riddle going into the cannabis business, would we? And I'd imagine if that's his strain that he's putting together, that's going to be quite a strain for those people who partake in it, I would imagine. But Ted DiBiase says, I always promised myself that by the time I turned 40, I would be out of the ring. I might be part of the show, but it wasn't going to be a physical part. I was going to be an active wrestler. I was going to be an active wrestler anymore. And you know what? As I'm looking at 70 here in just a few months, I'm so glad I made that decision, because there's a lot of other guys that are right about my same age that didn't make that decision, and physically they're in much worse condition than I am. Nice little piece there by Ted DiBiase talking about when you know the time is right and stuff like that. Don't try and push it too far. No. I had the pleasure of meeting him. I think it was last year, wasn't it? We met Ted DiBiase when we were away. Was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. We were at WrestleMania 38, I think it was, and I met Ted DiBiase, and I met Jake and all. Ted's bright as a button still. He's great and hasn't lost it at all. It was great talking to him. Got a couple of figures signed by him and all that. I'll always cherish, as they say. Acers is in. Daniel Bryan versus Zack Sabre Jr. What a wrestling match. Yeah, it was unbelievable, wasn't it? if you want to look at a technical wrestling match, it was unreal. And it was interesting listening to Daniel Bryan in the media scrum as well. He was talking about his swollen wrist and everything and all. No surprise with Zack Sabre Jr. I am really enjoying some of those crossover matches and stuff like that when Ospreay comes in and Zack Sabre Jr. Coda as well when he comes in and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Sean first. Even the $1 million man has a price. Yeah, he sure does. Absolutely. He had a price that day anyway. I saw fans were giving free Turkish delights outside the Old Trafford last night. Absolutely. Not good there either. Sure, it's not at the moment. Let's get in then. We'll talk about a little bit of history. I told you this was going to be a tough one, so strap yourselves in on this one. I'll just take that out first of all. Let's get into history for this week. This week in pro wrestling history, we're going to go all the way back 1975, and of course the plane crash. Ric Flair was among passengers involved in a plane crash on approach to Wilmington Airport in North Carolina. The plane contained Ric Flair, David Crockett, Bob Bruggers, Tim Mr. Wrestling Woods, and Johnny Valentine. Although none of the wrestlers passed away, the pilot Joseph Michael Farkas slipped into a coma and died 2 months after the incident. So that was this week. Sean's in. Scrap Pack versus the Elite for Stockton. Nice. Dazzler won't be happy tomorrow. No, he won't be happy. He's not happy at all at the moment with his club. That's for sure. Hope there isn't many deaths. Sean, we have a few lined up. This is a tough one this week. Gonna have to get through it. Amazing how Flair survived that. Amazing how they all survived the bar, the pilot. Like, it's just madness. Herb Abrams 2.0. I only hope Tony Khan doesn't fly off the handles. With AEW 5 years going, the purchase of ROH, all those title belts and wrestling talent getting paid big money. He won't fly off any handles. For fuck's sake, can we have a nice history section like ever? Listen, I try my best and I get down through it. If you want me to talk about what happened in SmackDown in 2016 and some Indian reservation or something like that, I can dig it out, you know, but I don't know whether it'll keep you on your toes, you know. Let's go. 2009, the first ever Hell in a Cell pay-per-view took place in Prudential Arena in Newark, New Jersey. WWE booked 3 Hell in a Cell matches on the pay-per-view. In the first, of course, The Undertaker defeated CM Punk to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Randy Orton defeated John Cena for the WWE Championship in the second bout in the demonic structure. And the main event saw the final cell match, which Triple H and Shawn Michaels defeated Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr. 2/3 of Legacy. Acers is in. Onana is greatest United signing since Alex Ferguson retired. Yeah, absolutely. Leipzig nil, City 1. Foden. Thanks for that. That's a good update there as well. Can we have something about puppies and cushions? They won't let us talk about puppies anymore. Oh, you mean the dogs? Sorry. Man City 1. Yeah, absolutely. Acers. Where are we? 1997. Hours before he was due to appear at In Your House Bad Blood, Brian Pillman was found dead in his St. Louis hotel room. He was 35 years old. Isn't that mad? Loose cannon, what a man to lose. Absolutely brilliant. It's weird, isn't it? When you think about it, last week, Junior signing for WWE, and this week is the anniversary of the dad's death, you know? Mad. Not the Jerry Lawler puppies, the Deviant. Nice. That's what I want to hear. 1999, at a SmackDown taping in Uniondale, New York, Darren Drozdov was injured following an accident in a match with D'Lo Brown. The injury would result in Drozdov's permanent paralysis. And of course, it was only a few short months ago we lost him, wasn't it? 2004. This is one for Will. Will would remember this one, of course. Carlito Caribbean Kill made his WWE debut on SmackDown. In his first match that night, he defeated John Cena to win the United States Championship. I remember the shock of that. Will, you remember that well as well. Remember Carlito? Absolutely kill. Brutal about Pillman. What a talent, yeah, absolutely. The main event. The main event of pay-per-view. Absolutely. Love how Draws and D'Lo stayed friends. What an absolute, genuinely good soul. Yeah, absolutely. And it was you seen all the stuff when he had sadly passed away and stuff like that. It was very, very sad, of course. He says, I remember watching the pay-per-view on Sky Sports. Vincent's man was like a white ghost on commentary team. Yeah, remember it well. 1997, in one of the most controversial moments in the history of Monday Night Raw, WWE, of course, conducted the follow-on interview with Melanie Pillman that aired less than 24 hours after the passing of her husband, Brian. Absolutely shocking stuff. It was covered, I think, we covered it on one of the Dark Side episodes or something like that. Crazy, crazy stuff. Imagine losing your husband and 24 hours later you're doing an interview on TV like that. Absolutely mental. Sean's in. Remember Carlito's bodyguard stabbed Cena in the club, and instead of calling the police like someone who was human, had a match with him. Yeah, absolutely. 1-1 Celtic Lazio, folks. His sister doesn't spit. Love it. We continue on. 1999, of course, Gorilla Monsoon passed away due to complications brought on by diabetes at the age of 62. R.I.P. Gorilla Monsoon, who sadly passed away this week. Very, very sad. What a talent Gorilla Monsoon was on commentary. Those days with Bobby Heenan and stuff. Didn't hear about that interview. That's horrendous. That's almost as bad as Stephanie's 9/11 bodyguard. Yeah, absolutely. Stephanie's 9/11 monologue. Yeah. 2015, Matt Hardy vacated the TNA World Heavyweight Championship just one day after winning it. Goes in and wins the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. The title was vacated in reality because TNA had no plans or cash flow to take further TV content. Going along, winning the World Heavyweight Championship and being told the next day, we've no money to do it, and you may as well just give us the belt back. Crazy, crazy times towards the end of TNA. How long has it been since we lost Eddie? 2015 TNA was class. Yeah. Broken Matt was the best character in the world at that point. They hadn't got a penny though. It's crazy. Crazy. 1988, Rockin' Robin defeated Sensational Sherry for the WWF Women's Championship. She reigned as champion until the title was deactivated in 1990. And of course, we got to know about Rockin' Robin, and of course, through the Dark Side of the Ring episodes. Yeah. And 2001, gentleman Chris Adams was shot and killed at his home in Wathiechi, Texas, following an alcohol-fueled argument. The Rugby England-born wrestler was 46 years old. Yeah, and I think that's chronicled. If you look at the Von Erichs documentaries and stuff like that, Chris was a big part of that Texas territory and stuff like that, and he was a heck of a wrestler as well. But unfortunately, that happened, and it was kind of that kind of situation was actually kind of lumped in with some of the tragedy of the Von Erichs and stuff like that, because he was a big part of that territory for Fritz and stuff like that at the time. How do you deactivate a title? It's not a computer. I know, yeah. That's what I thought when I was reading it. But that's what they actually did, deactivated it. Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? Mad. Mad stuff the way they describe stuff back then. Let's do some notable birthdays, yeah, just to cheer us up a little bit, because it was a tough week for history. A lot in there and stuff like that. It felt like nearly I was putting together a Dark Side of the episodes, a Dark Side of the Ring slide together or something like that. It was crazy between controversial moments, deaths, and all that kind of stuff. So we start off 1973. Chris Abyss Park. Abyss's birthday is this week. I'm sure that'll cheer some of you hardcore guys up in the chat. And just don't fancy hearing or seeing Tony Khan covered Coke and Vaseline wearing cowboy boots. Yeah, can you imagine? Worst history section in ages. Yeah, it is, isn't it, Sean? Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But I'm the guy who shows up and does those Dark Side of the Rings reviews and all, so not surprised. 1961, Bobby Fulton, his birthday this week. 1948, Linda McMahon celebrates her birthday this week. Chief J Strongbow, 1928. His birthday would be this week as well. Terry Runnels, 1966. Speaking of TNA and speaking of running out of cash, 1964, it's Dixie Carter's birthday. She celebrates her birthday this week as well. Barry Darsow, of course, 1959, the Repo Man. Bruno Sammartino's birthday. He would have celebrated this week as well, 1935. And then we rounded out just for you, Sean. I did this one just for you. I kept this one last to pick you up from all that dark stuff in history this week. Rhino celebrates his birthday this week, 1975. I can't believe I'm 3 years older than Rhino. I have to check that one out. Yeah, Daz. I think he's back in the ring a bit, Niall. Is he? Is he back? He's back at it, is he? Yeah, cool. Remember that? I love that lockdown match he had with AJ Styles where he took AJ Styles' head off with the cage door. Remember? What a bump and what a spot. I thought he decapitated him. If you haven't seen that, go check out Lockdown, Abyss versus AJ Styles. It was a heck of a match, but Abyss nearly decapitates him with the door of the cage. That's it, folks. That's been your birthdays. A tough, dark section on history. Sean, I will try and lighten it up more for next week. There's no doubt about that. Acers, Tony Khan had mental weekend with Jaguars playing at Wembley on Sunday afternoon, then Wrestle Dream and Fulham Chelsea on Monday night. That guy doesn't get any sleep at all. He's an absolute workhorse. I don't know how he does it. Incredible the way he just keeps on going and he's planning and doing all these things. How he fits it all in, I do not know. Until next time, folks, an absolute pleasure. We will be back next Wednesday again with another dose of pro wrestling. Weekly, we'll be talking about the results of Fastlane and all that kind of stuff, see what falls out of that. We'll definitely see what it was like with NXT. How did it stand up to Edge's debut against Luchasaurus on Titles Tuesday? It's going to be very interesting. Sean's in. Mind yourself, lads. See you next week. Don't bother next week if you've more morbid shit in the history section. I'll pump it up a bit for you. I can't dictate what it is. I just go and research it, and that's what comes out. Remember the lockdown with the aces and eights? Yeah, absolutely. Crazy, crazy stuff. And Ian is in. We are now over and out. Great show, Niall. Yeah, absolutely. I will be back tomorrow night with Dazzler. Don't forget, 9 o'clock on your screens. We'll be previewing the Premier League. And doing our beat the bookies and talking about all the other stuff that's gone on, VAR, United's current situation, all that stuff will come up in the chat and stuff. I will have a show going out, a recorded show, looking at the situation with Marcus Rashford. Apparently, Man United fans at the moment want him sold. So keep an eye out for that. That's a recorded show. Well worth having a look. Sean is saying, I want 70% birthdays and 30% pillows and kittens next week. I'll do my best for you. Trust me, I'll do my best for you. I did look after you though, didn't I? I rounded it out with Rhino and I knew you would appreciate that, Sean, being an ECW guy. So yeah, we'll be doing that Friday. I'll have a preview for the Brighton game for Liverpool as well. And of course, anything else will pop up there on shorts and drive time shows and stuff like that. So make sure, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. Drop a like on the video, share the content, and join us again real soon. Cheers.